This conference will now be recorded.
Let me write baseline configuration in SAP FICO. Now, when we talk about baseline configuration in SAP FICO, whenever you want to implement any company code or whenever you are implementing any project in SAP FICO, first thing is that you will have to create a new company code or new organization setup. In order to create a new organization setup for any new project, as a FICO consultant, you will be doing the first or initial configuration in every project, because company code is mandatory for any module to start their configuration. This company code configuration is the activity of SAP FICO consultant. So as a FICO consultant, we will be initiating the first configuration in any implementation or in any rollout project. Now, to do the baseline configuration, what and all the steps that are required, let us try to understand and define them. First, what we need is, you need to create a company, or let me go to IMG path. For that, we need to go to SPRO first. From SPRO, click on SAP reference IMG. Anything that you are creating at the beginning as part of your organization structure, we need to access enterprise structure. Open enterprise structure. In this, go to definition. From definition, go to financial accounting and controlling. Remember, as a FICO consultant, you are responsible for only two nodes. One is your financial accounting, the other one is controlling. Let us first go to financial accounting. Let's open this financial accounting. Here you will find the different settings. Initially, whatever is needed, only those settings we will define. First, we need define company. Let's copy this. I am going to put this here. Define company as first step. Okay. Now, once you are on this screen, you need to know what is the transaction code for this define company. To enable or to see or to view the transaction code for each IMG activity, on the menu bar, you need to go to additional information. Click on this additional information. You will get additional information. From this additional information drop down, go to display key. From this, click on IMG activity. If you click on this, you will be able to see the transaction code here. Expand this additional information. More or less, for most of the scenarios, last 4 digits will be the transaction code for the IMG activity. If you look at this defined company, for this last 4 digits is OX15. This OX15 is the transaction code to create a company. Let me put this OX15 here. OX15 is the transaction code. Next one is your edit, copy, delete, check company code. Let me copy this setting. I'll put this in the next screen. Now, to create the company code, there is another transaction code. If you look at this, we assumed last 4 digits is your transaction code. In this IMG path, last 4 digits is OX02. Let's put this OX02 here. OX02. Okay, and the last one that you'll have to do here is from the assignment. Let me come out of definition. Now let's go to assignment. If you go to assignment, again two things, financial accounting, controlling is what we are responsible for. Open financial accounting. In this, go to the first one, assign company code to company. Copy this, put this here. As usual, same logic. Last 4 digits will be your transaction code, which is OX16. Put this OX16 here. Now, let me put a box for this. Okay, this is one setting that you'll have to do at the beginning, which means you have to create a company, you have to create a company code, and then you have to assign your your company code to company. So whenever you are planning to configure any new company code for your practice, always remember these 3 points at the beginning. Remember which company you are going to configure, which company code you are going to configure, and assign this company code to company. Which means first thing that you have to keep in your mind, a company must be there in your mind. Let's say if I want to practice for Lenovo, right? I want to create Lenovo as my company. Now I need to understand what is this Lenovo all about. It is not fine if you know only the company name. You must know the company name along with company business process, at least a minimum. It is not that I know the name of a company but I do not know what this company deals with, what is this company business process all about. If you are not aware of this, we are not supposed to create that company code for our practice. This is point number one you need to remember. Any company you can take, but make sure you are aware of the company business process at least to some extent. You should not be blank. What is this company all about? You must know at least some information. Getting my point? That is the first point that you have to keep in your mind before you start your company code practice. Let's assume that when you talk about a company, you're talking about a group. Company is nothing but a group. Company code is nothing but a legal entity. Okay, company is a group, company code is a legal entity. Now the third step is the assignment. So I'm not writing anything here. Now when you're talking about a group, you will have to know the corporate company or head office of that organization. Under that corporate company, under that head office, you will be having different sister concerned companies or different legally registered companies or legally registered entities. For example, if you want to understand, as an easy example, let's say you take Tata Group. If I take Tata Group, under Tata Group you have different companies. Let's say you have Tata Steel, you have Tata Motors, you have Tata Consultancy, and likewise there are multiple companies which are operating under Tata Group. In the other side, if you take, let's say, Reliance Group, you have Reliance Jio, you have JioMart. Likewise, you have different companies operating under Reliance. Likewise, if you take different companies, under which what are the legal entities that are operated. This is point number one, which is a must that you have to understand. If you Google any number of companies, you will get to know different companies. Make sure as a first activity you are able to list out at least 10 groups and legal entities. This is your first activity that I want everybody to perform when you're starting your initial practice or when you're starting your initial learning on SAP FICO. If you are not clear on this part, whatever the configuration we are doing, we are not able to understand practically and then logically. Make sure if you want to understand the things practically and logically, this is what you are going to do at the beginning. Know the 10 groups and then the legal entities under that group. Now, by looking at this, you understood what is a group, what are the legal entities. Similarly, you try to find out. In the next session, we will list out what are all the 10 groups, legal entities that everybody has found out. I am going to list out in the Excel sheet so that we will gather different information. Accordingly, you will get an idea, you will get a clarity on what basis you have to think to get a group and to get a legal entity. This will give you clear clarity, clear understanding, and this will eliminate any confusion that you have on company code, on what basis you are going to create a company code, and how many company codes you are going to create for a particular organization. There should be no confusion, there should be no doubts, issues on this area for everyone at the beginning itself. Because most of the people will try to understand, but they fail to understand because they miss certain logics. Right? So those kind of errors, mistakes we are not supposed to do. Right from the beginning, let us focus on what exactly you are supposed to do when you are in a FICO project. Right? So when you are doing, this is what you will have to do. I am now removing this. So company is nothing but a group. Company code is nothing but the legal entity. Next one, what you'll have to do, you have to talk about chart of accounts. There is something called chart of account. In chart of account, there are certain settings that we will have to perform. In chart of account, let us go to chart of account related configuration. If you want to go to chart of account, you will have to go to financial accounting. Once you define a company, once you define the company code, and once you assign your company to company code, then our enterprise structure is completed. Once enterprise structure is completed, the next configuration is all about your financial accounting. Go to financial accounting. In financial accounting, we have to talk about chart of account. Chart of account is nothing but list of GL accounts. GL account is nothing but general ledger account. Now you are able to see financial accounting global settings here. You are able to see general ledger accounting here. Chart of account is all about list of general ledger accounts. For that, you have to open GL accounting or general ledger accounting. In this, let's open master data. If you go to master data, you will find GL accounts. Expand this GL account. If you expand GL account, you will find preparation. Go to preparations. Here you will find chart of account related settings. First one is your edit chart of account list. Let me copy this. This will be the first setting in your chart of account. For edit chart of account list, you have the transaction code called last 4 digits is what the T code OB13. Let's come here and let me put OB13 here. Okay. Second setting is your assign company code to chart of account. Copy this setting, come to Excel sheet, put this here. Assign company code to chart of accounts. For this, transaction code is last 4 digits OB62. Come to the Excel sheet. Let's put OB62 here. Next, third setting in your chart of account is your define account groups. Select this define account group, copy and paste this in your Excel sheet. This is your define account group. For this define account group, your transaction code is last 4 digits OBD4. Come back. Let me put OBD4 here. Next step inside your chart of account is define retained earnings account. Copy this retained earnings account. Come to Excel sheet, put this here. For the retained earnings account, transaction code is last 4 digits OB53. Come here, OB53 here. This is your second set, which is all about your chart of account. Okay, here chart of account is list of GL accounts. Okay, chart of account is nothing but list of GL accounts. Once you define your chart of accounts, next thing is to define your fiscal year variant. Fiscal year variant. Let's go to this fiscal year variant. Where do we find the path for fiscal year variant? Let me minimize this. GL account, master data. Now let me go to financial accounting global settings. If I go to ledgers inside, you will find fiscal year and posting periods. Let's open this. If you open this, you will find a transaction code called maintain fiscal year variant. Copy this, put this here, maintain fiscal year variant. Transaction code for this fiscal year variant is last 4 digits, which is your OB29. Let's put this here, OB29. Next setting inside the fiscal year variant is assign company code to a fiscal year variant. Let's copy this and let us put this here. For this, transaction code is OB37. Let me put T code here, OB37. Okay, these are the two settings that we will have to do in the fiscal year variant. This is another set. Now your fiscal year is equal to financial year or reporting year. Fiscal year is nothing but financial year or reporting year. After defining the fiscal year, you need to define one more set, which is your posting periods. Okay, let me expand this posting period, but before that, let me put a heading, posting period variant. Posting period variant. Inside the posting period variant, again we have different settings. First one is define variant for open posting periods. Copy this, put this in your Excel sheet below the posting period variant. And for this, what is the transaction code? Let us write down. For this, transaction code is last 4 digits OBBO. Let us put T code as OBBO here. Now second setting inside this is your assign variant to company code. Copy this, go to Excel sheet, paste this here, assign variant to company code. For this, transaction code is last 4 digits OBBP. Now if you notice, whatever the way we are doing is the same logic. If you understand the logic, it is the same point for everything that you are configuring, how to identify the T code for a particular config step. Last one is your open and close posting periods. Right? Copy this, go to Excel sheet, put this here. Open and close posting periods. Transaction code for this will be, currently here you are not able to find any transaction code, but this transaction code is OB52. Okay, I'll put manually here OB52. This is another set, which is your posting period variant in SAP. So posting period variant is used to control the periods for postings based on account types. Okay, posting period variant is used to control the periods for postings based on account types. After creating posting period variant, you will have another variant, which is your let me go to inside the fields. If you go to field, you will find field status variant. Let me write the heading field status variant. Okay, in the field status variant we have different settings again. First one is define field status variant. Copy this, put this under this, and for field status variant transaction code is last 4 digits OBC4. Let me go to OBC4 here, and next setting is assign company code to a field status variant. Copy this setting, and for this assign company code to a field status variant, T code is OBC5. Let's put this T code here, OBC5. This is another set. So this is used to control the fields during data entry. So using field status variant, we will be able to control the fields during the data entry. Which field you want to input, which field you want to see, which field you want to hide. Now let's try to define these 4 settings now, and then the further settings we will be defining in the next session. Now, as we discussed, initially you have to understand, or you have to know at least about one company, in short, one group and one legal entity to start your configuration. So what I am doing here, I am going to define a company code. Let's say I am going to create a company code with let's take any one company code which we are all familiar with. Okay, so I am going to take a company code called, let's say, Samsung. Okay, I'm going to take a company code called Samsung. So first I need to understand what is the group for Samsung. So let's say I'll tell only Samsung as the group, and then legal entity. If you're talking about legal entity, make sure in which country you are going to do the operations, in which country you are going to perform your business process. If you're talking about Samsung, first thing you need to know one company name. Let's say we assumed we are going to define Samsung as our company. Once you decide Samsung as your company, in which country are you going to implement, or in which country are you going to work on this Samsung? If you feel that you are going to work on this Samsung in India, you will have to think that you are going to implement for Samsung India. If you feel that you are going to work for Samsung India, you have to assume that you are implementing SAP FICO for Samsung India. Accordingly, you have to start thinking everything. Let's say if you are working in Samsung India, for Samsung to do their business process, or to do their business operations in India, they have to set up their business process in India, for which they have to legally register in India according to Companies Act. According to Register of Companies, they have to register their name in India, for which we call it as legal entity. Whatever the name that you have registered in India, according to Registrar of Companies or according to Indian Companies Act, this name is called as legally registered name. Any legally registered name is called as legal entity. This legal entity is created as a company code in SAP. Right? Let's say if we have registered, assume Samsung India Private Limited. Let's assume this is the name that we have registered in India. You are going to create this company code. You are going to create this company code as your legal entity for your project. Now you need to decide, you may get a doubt, how many company codes I need to create. It is not your choice. The way you want to create the number of company codes, you cannot create likewise. you have to strictly look at the number of company registrations that you have done. According to the number of company registrations that we have done, similarly, you have to create the company code. Currently, according to this, we have registered only this name. We have registered Samsung India Private Limited. We have registered Samsung India Private Limited. We have registered only one name. Then you will have to create only one company code. Irrespective if you are operating with your Samsung India Private Limited in, let's say, 20 states in India. You are operating in Andhra, Telangana, Mumbai, Pune, everywhere, maybe different states, different cities. You are not going to consider that. You are only going to consider on what name you are going to do business in India. Across India, you are going to represent your organization, your company name as Samsung India Private Limited only. Because any company that you registered, it is registered at country level according to Registrar of Companies or according to Indian Companies Act. If you registered one name, you are strictly going to create one company code. Okay, tomorrow if somebody is asking you on what basis you are going to decide how many company codes you need to create, it is purely based on the number of registered entities that we have in a particular country. If you have two registered entities, two registered company names, you are going to create two company codes. If you have only one registered company, you are going to create only one company code. So in this scenario, we have only one registered company name, which is Samsung India Private Limited. We will be proceeding only with one company code. Right? So the moment you assume the name of your legal entity, you have to write certain points about this. Okay, if you assume that Samsung India is your legal entity, you have to write, let's say, first thing is registered name you need to know. Next one, registered address. When you register a name, you have to register the address at which you are going to perform your business operations. In short, what is your head office? Then official or reporting currency. What will be the official currency or reporting currency? Now your registered country. Okay, let me put this here. Registered country, official or reporting currency. Next one, accounting principle to be followed. Next one, reporting cycle to be followed. Reporting cycle to be followed, we need to remember, we need to list out. Now this basic information let us try to fill out. Now registered name will be Samsung India Private Limited. Let me put here Samsung India Private Limited will be your registered name. Registered address, let's say what is the head office that you have registered. If I registered my head office as in Hyderabad, I'll have to put Hyderabad address. If I've registered my head office in Mumbai or Delhi, Pune, whatever, you need to put that complete address. Let's say I'll put Ascendus IT Park, Madhapur, Hyderabad. Okay, the complete address we will have to put, but I'm giving only the partial address of it. Something like this, you need to put the address. Next one, registered country. In which country you registered this legal entity, or in which country you registered this company. Let's say we registered this in India. Let's put India here. Next one, official or reporting currency. If you are registering this country as India, in India, what is the official currency or reporting currency? Let's say this will be INR. Next, accounting principle. what will be the accounting principle to be followed in India? You are going to follow, let's say, Indian Companies Act. According to Indian Companies Act, you are going to perform the financial reporting. Now, what is the reporting cycle? From what to what you will have to perform the reporting. Let's say in India, this is your April to March. Like this, certain basic information you must be able to figure out, you must be able to list out for your company code. Straight away, please do not go and create the company code, that is wrong. Okay. List out some basic information like this. Accordingly, go to SAP and then start configuring your company code so that you will be able to understand, you will be able to connect to the points in detail practically. Okay, let's assume that this is what is your reporting information regarding your legal entity that you have registered in India. With this information, let us try to create our company code first. And once we create the company code, we will try to understand different points relating to our company code. Now, when you are creating your company code, your company code creation is part of initial organization structure. Your initial organization structure you are going to define in enterprise structure. Let's open this enterprise structure. In this, for creating anything, you'll have to go to definition. Click on this definition. First, you need to create define company. Let's click on this define company. This is your group. Define company is your group, or this is your head office, your corporate office. Remember, at company level, there is nothing in SAP. At company level, you are not going to create anything, which means you are not going to create any configuration, any master records, any transactions, any reports at company level. This is only for the initial reporting purpose to ensure that what is your affiliated company, what is your non-affiliated company. So let's click on this new entry here. If I click on new entry, you are getting a screen like this. Now anything that you are creating at the beginning, you will find an empty screen like this with different fields to be given with your relevant company related information. Now when you are creating a company or any other aspect in your SAP, always remember nothing is created straightforward, nothing is created directly in the system. You have certain documentation. Based on this certain documentation, you are going to set up your company or any other point related configuration. Now in order to perform your configuration, you have to refer certain documents, right? Configuration is performed based on the below documents. Okay, configuration is performed based on the below documents. Point number 1, you are going to have business blueprint or solution design document. We either call it as business blueprint, which is nothing but BBP in short, or you call it as solution design document, which is nothing but SDD. You are going to refer business blueprint document or solution design document. Point number 1. Point number 2, you are going to define, you are going to refer key data structures document, which is nothing but KDS document. Clear? These are the two documents that you are going to refer to perform your configuration. It's not that straight away you will log into SAP, you will start configuring the things. Is only possible in your practice, in your learning environment. But when you're in a project, when you're working as a FICO consultant, you are never going to do that. So right from the beginning, let us not do it. So you are going to refer business blueprint or solution design document along with key data structures. Looking at these two documents is what you are going to maintain your configuration for any process in SAP. Now, how your business blueprint is prepared, how your KDS is prepared, we are going to understand in detail in the upcoming sessions. But these documents are going to give you all this information that we have written here. If you are talking about company code, what is your company name and all you are going to have. Now, if you look at SAP screen, in the SAP screen, to create a company, you have this information. It is asking you to put company, company name, name of company to street, PO box, postal code, city. There are different fields which system is asking us to input to create a company code. Now, in order to create this company code, all this information you have to get from your client. Point number one, you need to remember here is you are working as a FICO consultant. You are working as a FICO consultant and you are not working for Samsung India. You are working as a FICO consultant, but you are not working for an organization called Samsung India. For Samsung India, you are called as a consultant. For Samsung India, you are called as a consultant. You may be working for some other company, maybe like you may be working for Wipro, Infosys, Deloitte, or any other company which is a consulting based company. You are under the payroll of some consulting based company. For that consulting based company, assume Samsung is the client. For your organization, Samsung is the client, and for Samsung, you have been allotted as a FICO consultant. Then you will be working for Samsung as a SAP FICO consultant, which means you do not know any information about Samsung. And you have to configure or you have to set up, you have to implement SAP FICO module for Samsung. Now, without knowing the company information, it is not possible to define the configuration for any organization. Because we are not thinking from the practice point of view, you are thinking from the project point of view. When you're in a project, the way you are going to configure the system, in the similar way you have to think right from the beginning. Now, if you are working for Samsung, you are going to have the Samsung official persons or the employees from the Samsung. Employees from the Samsung are called as clients or users to you. You are going to call the employees of your Samsung company as business users or your client. Now, for any information that you need to create in the SAP system, you are going to discuss with Samsung business users or Samsung clients. So you are going to have official meetings, you are going to gather the business requirement. Accordingly, you are going to freeze the requirement, and whatever the requirement you have discussed, you have freezed, you are going to document it. This requirement, whatever you have taken, whatever you have document, is called as business blueprint. Right? You are going to discuss their business process, you are going to document it. This document is called as business blueprint. This business blueprint document you are going to share with your client, which is your Samsung. Once you prepare the business blueprint, once you share it with your client, they are going to review the business blueprint or they are going to review the solution design document. Once they review the business blueprint or solution design document, they are going to come back if any feedback, if any amendments, corrections they find. If they, let's say they did not find any corrections, they found everything is correct. What they are going to say, they are going to say whatever the business process that you have defined in this BBP document, everything is correct. This is called as your business blueprint sign off or BBP sign off. You are going to get a business blueprint sign off. Once your business blueprint is signed off, which means once it is approved, that is where you are going to start your configuration in the system. Unless and until your business blueprint is configured, is approved or is signed off, you are not going to start your configuration. Right? You have to keep all these points in your mind right from the beginning. It is not that you will initially configure the way you want, later on you will try to add these points. It will be very, very difficult, not possible to understand things practically in SAP. Right? Only if you add things right from the beginning, it is easy for us to understand why we are doing what we are doing. Otherwise, We are missing on the key important elements. We are focusing on only the configuration. That is a big mistake that we are doing. Right? So assume that you got the business blueprint signed off, and based on the business blueprint signed off, or based on the business blueprint, you are going to prepare key data structures. Key data structure is all about naming conventions and is all about the key information related to your configuration. When we are talking about key data structure, we have created certain settings here. In the certain baseline configuration, whatever we defined earlier, we have mentioned company, company code, you have mentioned chart of account, you have mentioned account groups, you have mentioned retained earnings account, you have mentioned fiscal year, you have mentioned posting period, you have mentioned field status variant. Now in all these settings, whatever you have maintained, what will be the code or what will be the description that you are going to define? All these codes descriptions is what you are going to maintain under a document called KDS, key data structures. This is another document which we are going to refer for your initial baseline configuration. Without these two documentation, nobody is going to create baseline config in any project, no matter what. Right? So even when you're practicing, even when you're configuring your test company code, make sure these points are there in your mind. Keeping these points in your mind, practice the way you want, but ensure these points you are aware of. Tomorrow if somebody is asking you how you will create a company code, make sure you are going to create a company code based on these two documents. It's not that I want a company code, just like that you will create a company code, will never happen. Things the way they happen in the real environment, we have to remember right from the beginning. Even though it will take a little time for us to practically understand, connect, but let us try to understand right from the beginning. Now once you get this information, you are going to create the configuration. Assuming I have been assigned to this Samsung project, let's say I am a new consultant, I am new to SAP FICO, I do not have any experience before. If I was asked to do this configuration, I am not going to refer my training material. Let's say I joined a organization as a FICO consultant, assuming I have put some 3 year of experience, 4 year of experience, or I joined as a fresher. Now I've been asked to do this baseline configuration for a new project. Am I going to refer my material notes that I got from my training institute or that I get from YouTube or on the Google? No, that is a big mistake that you're doing. Right? Because these documentations are used to learn SAP FICO, to learn how to create this. But once you are in a project, you are not supposed to refer any external sources, any external documentation. Your focus is supposed to be on the business process of your particular client to whom you are working for. Right? The way you think, the way you look at the system should get completely changed. It will be completely quite opposite the way you learn, the way you practice, the way you work in a project. So as much as possible, we have to try and avoid these differentiations. Tomorrow when you are sitting in the interview or when you are sitting in a project, you have to feel that this is how I have practiced, this is what I have learned during my training. And when you see that whatever you have practiced, in the similar way, if you are working on a project, the way you feel comfortable, the way you feel confident is more positive. So that positive approach is what you need to have when you're in any interview, when you're working on any project. Do not come to a stage, do not feel in such a way that whatever I have learnt is different, whatever people are doing here is different, whatever people are asking me is different. That kind of a situation, that kind of a differentiation, we should not feel. That should be your primary target, that should be your primary motto. Now, assuming that we have got all this documentation, now we want to configure this in the system. Now I know that I'm working for Samsung project. I need to create a company. Can I just like that put anything that comes in my mind? Can I open Google Samsung address and then type here?
No.
No, right? That is not the way that you are going to configure it, which means you are going to receive all the information that needs to be filled up here from your client. How your client is going to give this information? Are you going to call your client every now and then? Are you going to message your client every now and then? What is the address? What is the postal code? What is the cities? All these things? No. This information is gathered at the beginning itself, and all the information is compiled in a blueprint document. From this blueprint document, you are going to extract key configuration related information, which is called as your KDS document. You are going to refer KDS document. This KDS document is going to talk about what will be the naming convention for your company. If you are creating Samsung Group, what is the code that is agreed by the business? What is the code that we proposed to the business? Right? Let's say we have proposed. Now before that, to create a company, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits. Now I'll put AB, and I'll also put some special character. Now in the company, it is 6 digits, point number 1, and this is alphanumeric, point number 2. Clear? When you create a company, this is 6 digit alphanumeric code. Now what is this 6 digit alphanumeric code that we have agreed with the client is what we need to put here. Let's say we have agreed to SAMS, or let's say SSGR. SS representing Samsung, GR representing a group. Now maximum this is 6 digits, but normally we will be creating only 4 digits. Your company is ideally created only 4 digits. So assuming this is what is created, or this is what is documented in the KDS, as it is, you are going to put that code in your SAP system. Next one, company name. Let's put Samsung Group. Samsung Group of companies. Next one, name of company 2. This is the continuation of it. This is not any other thing. This is continuation of this. Sometimes if you have a big name, when you write it in English, you are going to get big spelling. So you may not be able to fit all these characters here. Then you are going to use the second field. Otherwise, you are going to leave this blank. Next one, street, PO box, postal code, city, all the address information. Now wherever you see this particular field, you have two options. Option number 1, on this screen for this particular field, there is no drop down option anywhere, right? Which means this is called as a free text field. When you don't find any drop down at the right side, this is called as a free text field, in which you are free to write anything. You can input any information. That is why we call it as free text field. Similarly, PO box, it's a free text field. Postal code, it's a free text field. City is a free text field. But if I go to country, I'm able to find an icon here. When I come to country, I am able to find an icon here. If I click on this icon, this is opening a list. Okay, some problem in this. You are going to get a list here, and top you will find 250 entries found.
Hello,
There
sir.
is some technical.
Sir,
Yeah,
this issue, sir, upgrade your GUI version 7.5 or 7.6. This error will be resolved, actually.
this one, this drop down list.
Sir, upgrade your GUI version, sir. 7.5 or 7.6.
Yes,
This error will be resolved.
correct. The
Actually,
values
GUI problem.
that you are able to see here is 250 entries it is showing, but you are unable to see those 250 entries. This is because the SAP logon version that I am using is old one. Okay, if you see my SAP logon pad, this is your SAP logon pad 740. You are able to see it here. SAP logon 740. This is the old version. Now what we are using is SAP 2021 version. So for SAP 2021 version, with your old version of SAP Logon Pad, certain functionalities are not supported. This is one of the functionalities which is not supported. I'll close this. Now, wherever you get this drop down, which means this is not a free text field, you have to ensure that the right information, which is an existing entry in the system, will be given. Okay, country is not a free text field, language is not a free text field, currency is also not a free text field. Now all this information will be given to you by your client. Now this information that we gathered, that we collected from the client, is documented in blueprint and KDS document. From these documents we are going to fill up the information here. Let me put street here. I'll write maybe Gandhi Street, PO Box number 18, postal code 200 800. Some dummy numbers I'm giving. City, I'll say Hyderabad. Now country, you'll have to give the existing value from the system, existing country list. This country list is ISO defined country list. If you are talking about India, India is represented by code IN. Okay, you'll have to strictly give the same code. If you give any code which is not existing in the system, it is not going to accept. Select India. Next one, language. If you wanted to use your company information in English language, select English. If you want any other language which is supported by SAP, you have to put that respective language identification code. Again, this identification code is ISO predefined. For English, this is EN, and currency in which you want to maintain your group reporting. Normally, we will be maintaining our group reporting in dollar currency. So let me put this as dollar. Okay, most of the companies will go for dollar as the group currency in case if they are a global company. When we talk about a global company, company which is operating in more than one country. If you talk about Samsung, Samsung is not operating only in India. You will find Samsung in multiple countries. So these kind of countries are multinational companies or MNCs. We also call it as global companies. Companies which are doing business in more than one country. So for the easy reconciliation, for easy consolidation purpose, they will be using one common currency for all the countries, which is more or less commonly dollar. So that is why we are taking dollar as group currency or for your group company currency. Hit enter. Now make sure whenever you are on SAP screen like this, an empty page, do not press enter every now and then, every frequently. The moment you press enter, SAP understands, SAP assumes you are submitting data, and then it will start validating your data. Wherever there is an error, wherever the field is not particularly filled up, it is going to block all the other fields. It is going to throw error messages. Okay, you need to remember, unless and until you are done with your data entry on the screen, you are not going to hit enter on the keyboard. Enter means submitting data in SAP. Let's say once you are clear with this, you are going to click on save here or control S. Once you click on save or control S, you are going to get a screen like this. You are going to get a screen like this. This is called customization request or TR request. This is called as customization request or TR request. In this customization request or TR request, whatever the configuration you are doing, you are going to store this. Now, before we store it, you need to know one point. You have to know something called Am I audible now?
Yes,
Okay. Is my screen visible? I think some network fluctuation at my end.
screen not visible, sir.
Not visible, right? Just a minute. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we are trying to save the company information, we are getting this screen. There is a pop-up. This pop-up is called as customizing request. This customizing request is nothing but a transport request or TR request in the real environment. We call it as TR number or customizing request number or transport request number. Now this TR number is generated especially or exclusively for your configurations. Now the reason why you are getting this is because you have something called system landscape. Using this system landscape, on any SAP project you are going to have minimum 3 servers or minimum 3 systems. One is your development, system, 2 is your quality system, 3 is your production system. Okay, you are going to have 3 systems: development, quality, production. Now in development you are going to have something called client. In each system there is something called a client. If you click on SAP logon on any system, if you click on logon, you are going to get a screen like this, wherein it will ask you to input your user ID and then the password. But above your user ID there is something called client. Above user ID there is something called client. This client is a 3-digit numeric number. This client is a 3-digit numeric number. In every system landscape, in development system, you are going to have several clients. Similarly, in quality and in production, you are going to have different client. Each client is identified by a 3-digit numeric number. Let's say in development, you are going to have 3 clients. I am going to write client 100 and client, let's say 110, and client 200. Assuming this is how you are going to have client numbers in development. In general, you are going to have 3 clients within development system. Numbers may be different depending on the project, depending on the organization, numbers may be different, but most commonly this is how you are going to have client numbers in the project. Similarly, in quality you may have client 100, you may have client 200, and in production you may have client 100 only. In short, in development there will be 3 clients, this is must. In quality there will be 2 clients, this is also must. In production there will be a single client, this is must. Okay, now if you see this, nowhere you are able to find client number called 800. So 800 client number you will find only for the test practice environment. In case if somebody is asking you what is the client number, never tell 800. 800 client is exclusively used for practice purpose, right? Now this is point number 1. your system landscape. Why we use each client, we are going to discuss in detail. Next point, you need to understand data flow in SAP FICO consulting. How data flows in your SAP FICO consulting. Point number 1 is your business requirement. Point number 2 is your configuration. Point number 3 is your master data. Point number 4, transaction data. Point number 5, reports. This is how the data flows in your SAP FICO consulting. Now currently we are at configuration stage. Currently we are at configuration stage. Whatever we are doing is called as we are maintaining settings in SAP. In general terms we call it as I am doing settings in SAP. Settings in SAP is nothing but configuration in SAP. Configuration is not a direct activity. Before configuration you have a prerequisite which is called as your business requirement. If you do not know the business requirement, there is no point of configuration. Clear? You are going to do the configuration according to or based on the business requirement. If you know the business requirement, you have to do the configuration. If you do not know the business requirement, you are not going to do any config, because you are going to configure the system of your client. So according to your client requirement, you are going to set up the system or you are going to configure the system. When you are configuring the system, you are talking about maintaining settings in the system. Now when you are maintaining the settings, you have understood there are 3 types of systems here. One is your development, 2 is your quality, 3 is your production. Now when you are maintaining the settings, you are going to maintain settings only in one system, only one time. You are going to maintain settings only in one system, only one time. Configuration is strictly performed one time in SAP, right? Now next point, we will do configuration only one time in a single client in SAP. You will do configuration only one time in a single client in SAP. So configuration is always maintained in development 100 client. Configuration is always maintained in development 100 client. Now every configuration will be saved in a transport request, in short TR, in SAP. We will move or copy the configuration using TR number from one client, in short from one system to other client or other system. This point you have to remember before you save your first setting in SAP. Okay, you're not supposed to save settings just like that before knowing these points. Okay, when you're saving this, you have to ensure that you are doing something called configuration. Configuration you are going to do only in one system. That system is called as development 100 client. Now on your SAP logon pad, you need to ensure you have three systems like this: development, quality, production. You're not supposed to have only one line. Make sure you are going to have minimum 3 lines, which is mandatory. Because tomorrow, if you work in any project, if you work in any organization, you are going to have 3 clients. Because for every organization, this is a mandatory system landscape: development, quality, production. You have to use all the 3 servers when you are working as a FICO consultant for any organization. To log into development, you will have to click on development link. To log into quality, you have to click on quality link. To log into production, you need to click on production link. In short, on your SAP logon pad, make sure you put these three. To create these three, whatever the connection details that you have, create the same connection details 3 times, but description you put development, quality, production. So that the way you look at the SAP logon pad, the way you look at the SAP logon pad when you join in any organization will look exactly the same. You'll not find any differences. Otherwise, you will find only one client or one ID here. On your production system, you are going to have multiple things. So that differentiation right from the beginning we have to avoid wherever possible. Now, when you are saving the first configuration, you need to save all your configuration in a TR number. To create a TR number, you will have to click on this create icon. I think one sec, this is locked out. S4HANA 2021. I'm going to add all this information quickly. Okay, let me click on save. We are getting this prompt. On this prompt, you need to save all your settings in a single TR. Whenever you are doing a baseline configuration, remember your complete FICO baseline configuration is maintained in a single transport request or in a single TR. To create a TR, you need to click on this icon here. Small paper icon you'll get, or create request. In bracket you are getting F8. This F8 is the shortcut key. Click on this create request, and this will give you another pop-up screen wherein you have to give short description. When you are in any project, especially in the implementation project, you need to maintain this here. You can maintain your module FICO something like this, and FICO Samsung baseline configuration, something like this you will have to maintain. Click on save, and you are going to get a request automatically generated by the system. This is called as your TR number or customization request number. Click on this. Okay, when you click on this, you are going to get this request number. You need to copy this request and this description somewhere on your Excel sheet. Let me copy this number. I'll go to this one. TR number is this, and description of the TR is this. Copy and put this here. This will be your initial TR number wherein you are going to save all your baseline config. Whatever the settings we are going to
we can change the description.
Description can be changed.
Where
Okay,
we
you
can
can change.
change.
I'll show maybe in the next session.
Okay.
Okay, we will see information related to all the TRs. So that time I am going to show how you can change the TR description, on what conditions you can change this.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to ensure all our settings will be stored in the same TR. Do not create a separate TR for everything that you are saving. That is another mistake that you are committing. You are creating a company, you stored one TR, you are creating company code, don't create another TR. You are creating chart of account, do not create another TR. Make sure single TR is used for all your baseline configuration for FICO. Now, once you save this, once you get the TR number, click on OK. Now you are going to get the message as data was saved. Now this company has been created. This is your first setting that you are going to do. Okay, clear so far? Any doubts? Go through these points, and whatever we have listed here, just have a look at it one time, and from tomorrow onwards when we are going to configure, it is straight away, because all these points whatever we have understood now will remain constant, will remain fixed across all your projects, across all your configurations. So from tomorrow onwards we are going to continue the regular configuration from company code onwards. Okay, let me stop this recording.